Have a look around a bit. Yeah, most of you seem ready. Only on the last page there we see everyone without a camera. Not sure about what's going on there, but thank you for being so much on time. This is great. This helps a lot to keep on track. Yeah, so now we move on in the program. We go to the first challenge. Today we'll have 2, and tomorrow another 2. So today the first challenge, which will be presented by Krüger and Stina Weststrand from Gothenburg. Stina and Åsa, they are botanists in the Gothenburg Botanic Garden, where they also host a podcast together. And Stina, on her spare time, she practices freediving and she loves to sleep outdoors. And also, when not running after her wild kids, she tries to get in some time on her own outdoors in her hammock. Let's see now what they will tell us about how to design a good tour. Åsa and Stina, the floor is...
Thank you. So warmly welcome to Gothenburg Botanical Garden. So my name is Stina.
And my name is Åsa. And we want to thank the organizers for getting this together finally. And we're so happy that we get the opportunity to pick the brains of the community.
Yeah, and as you already heard, the theme for this session is tours in Garden Explorer. And we want to discuss with you what's a good tour. And the reason for this is that today we are not using tours in Garden Explorer here in Gothenburg, but we want to do so. And what we have today here is of course the ordinary physical signs and maps. And we do also have an app, but it's not connected to Iris. And in this app we have a few tours. And then we are also using the plant search function in Garden Explorer.
Yes. So I hope you can see the map here. So this is just to get a feel of the garden, and our entrance area is here. And from the entrance, we have this huge main road here where almost all of our visitors go. We love to take them on other routes in the garden, and we have tried a little bit, but we're not successful yet. And what's going to happen in a few years is that we're going to build new greenhouses here. And you see the main road hub is right here. So we have to close off this entirely, and we need to guide people early on to take different tours. Yeah, and what's going on here is that we have a need for people to take another route, but we also want the people to want to take another route. So we want to make something that is good both for us and for them. So we went straight to the source, and we asked our followers on Instagram, on an Instagram story, 2 simple questions. We got almost 200 answers, and Stina will let you know what they said.
Yeah, so we had 2 questions to our Instagram followers. And the first one was that, what is usually the main reason for you to come to Gothenburg Botanical Garden? So why are you coming here? And we categorized all the answers that we got into 6 different categories. And here you can see them presented in a pie chart. And 23% said that they come here for recreational and aesthetical reasons. And 44% said that they come here for the plants and for inspiration. 21% come here because they want to go for a walk. And then a few percent said that they either want to take photos, they want to have some food in their restaurant, or they want to go to the shop. So what we can see from this is that many people, they want to see plants, which of course is positive since this is a botanical garden. And we can also see that many people, they want to take a walk on their own in some way. And then the second question. Hi. So then we asked the second question, if you come here and you should go for a walk, a guided tour on your own, a digital guided tour, how long should it be? How much time do you want to spend on it? And 59% answered that it should take less than an hour. 22% said, okay, it can take an hour, it's okay. And 19% said, it can take more than an hour. So the lesson from this is that we should not make the tours too long.
Yes, so this is all nice and good. We know why they're here. They like to see our plants. They like to go in our garden. They want to spend not so much time on their own in the guided tour, but they're positive for this. Cool. There are a lot of perspectives in marketing. You may be familiar with the 4 Ps, where product and promotion and so on. In Sweden, we translated that into culture setting. So museums and so on made a word play on that and talking about the 4 Ks. We have translated that for you to the 4 Cs. And this is something a visitor likes to know where it is and to have for them to appreciate their visit. So of course, coffee. And once you had your coffee, it's interesting to know where the bathroom is, right? And culture, that's why they come here. And then on their way out, they want to stop by the shop to bring something home. And we want to focus on the culture to maximize the sort of cool stuff that we have here that we want to show them. And that's how we're thinking Iris and Garden Explorer can come in handy. Yeah, but we want to keep all of these features in here. We want to make it nice for the visitors. So, and what we want your help with is, can you think of a tour that you have taken somewhere or you have designed it or yourself or something like that? Just think about that tour before you go into your breakout rooms, and you think about what was good about that tour. What kind of stuff made that tour very good? And then we want to know how the tool tours can be used in a good way to create such a neat, interesting, fascinating tour. Yeah, so that's what we want to use you for, the community. Thank you.
Thank you.
So thank you very much, Stina and Åsa. I've been looking around the gallery view and I've seen people listening very carefully to your story. Let's move on to the breakout room. I'm curious to hear afterwards with which elements for a good tour you came up. Hopefully this time it will be more equally distributed, the amounts of people in the breakout rooms. We have a second try. Yeah, so we do the same exercise again. I'm curious to hear from you. And I guess you all are, what has been discussed in the breakout rooms. And I'd like to start with breakout room number 4 with Christopher. Can you maybe share the most important idea?
Yes, certainly. So I think it was providing information that's relevant to the interests of the person taking the tour. And that might be by enabling someone to kind of self-select out of a range of tours, or being able to design their own maybe. And there might be themes that allow you to do that. We also found that being able to see the whole tour and being able to orientate yourself, but also know whereabouts you were going and how long it might take, was kind of a real enabler for someone to think, well, get confidence in using a tour. And we thought there needs to be a richness of data, a richness of information, of stories, of pictures and things like that within the tour to really provide the whole experience, particularly if you're dealing with a device rather than a person in front of you. Not many of us have been using Garden Explorer, so we don't necessarily know how it can be used in the best way, but we thought that actually understanding how people are using it, checking the analytics and things like that were probably going to be key. So yeah, that's us in a nutshell.
Great, thanks. Thank you very much. Connie from room number 5. What would you like to add to this? How was it in your room? Oh, but it seems that it worked this time. You had access to the
yes.
sharing.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, in our room, actually, no one really had a lot of experience in designing tours with the Garden Explorer, so we rather talked in general about this issue. And following to what Christopher just said, we also found that for visitors it is important to have the kind of logistic information, such as the time of the tour, or accessibility, intensity of the walk, etc. So this is really important for the visitors so that they can select. And it seems that this is not so easy or not at all possible to add such information in. Well, it seems to be, I'm not sure because I don't know it. It seems to be possible to add that in Garden Explorer, but it might not be so obvious. And but we also talked about that a large challenge for designing good tours, this was the original question, is that in many cases, the people who design the tours or have to design them are not professional storytellers. But it's like curators such as me or volunteers, and that makes it difficult to really think of a good tour, a perfect tour that includes all the 4 C's, and maybe sometimes a bit unprofessional too. And yeah, we had a few ideas about how can you make it really interactive, designing digital tours as a treasure hunt for families, etc. What else? Yeah, and we had, it does not seem so easy to do it with Garden Explorer. Just basic things like including a map or so was something that not for everyone seems to be easy to make. Yeah, and in general, also for the people who give tours or who design it, some of them are older or not so into the mobile devices, me including, and so it's not so really natural to design digital tours. Yeah.
Thank you. So you touched really upon many subjects, and you've actually inventorized all the challenges which you come across when you're designing.
Yeah.
Thanks. Feline, room number 6. Do you have anything to add to what
Hi. Hello. So yeah, we first started kind of thinking about a nice tour, not necessarily with the Garden Explorer, but just in general. And actually 2 things that stood out were that the kind of exclusivity is really nice when you're having a tour, so that you get information that you otherwise would not have found or would not have gotten. So that is really an how do you say, an added value to going on a tour, that you can, well, really learn something that you otherwise wouldn't have found out. And actually also discussed a pitfall that was, well, before it was discussed that you may not have enough professional people for the tour, but here it was also a pitfall to have someone that's very professional and that tells a lot, but maybe too much. So an overload in information may be the other side. So it was discussed that the balance is very important, that you keep it interesting without boring your people that you're guiding. And actually, not everyone was using the Garden Explorer yet, so we couldn't really discuss on how that was used. but we ended in a discussion about how would you actually want to have so many people on their phones in the garden? Is that something that we're probably going towards that, but is it something that everyone wants? Because it might be kind of a getaway to go to a garden to get rid of the digital part. So of course, it's very important to have the information there if you're interested, but not have it somehow impose on your experience. So that was a discussion that we had in the end, actually.
Thank you very much. Great. A lot new, yeah, you added a lot of more other challenges to the list, quite some ideas how to tackle it. Is there any other breakout rooms who would like to feedback, other facilitators who would like to tell what they did?
I can talk on where 11.
Great.
Yeah, so we had a slightly different, well, a slight advantage in as much as we had someone who had a lot of experience of using the board, using the handhelds. But I think some of the important things were that when you're creating a tour, what you try and aim to do is pick out really key bits of information which the person wouldn't necessarily get by just going for a walk around the garden. So you make it a bit more special. So you can pick out specific plants and then give a lot more background to that plant and give a lot more depth to it, because it's very easy when you're walking around the garden not to get the full range of detail which you're trying to get with a tour. One of the advantages within Iris is you can add assets as well. So not just the plants, so you can add artworks, you can add benches, you can add cafes, so you can actually build that into the software. I think one of the things which came across was it's probably a good idea to, as a professional, a horticulturalist or a scientist who's writing a tour, that getting the balance of the balance of the wording right, so that it's not too technical and it's not too dumbed down. I think that's a real art. And also that if you're writing a tour, it's probably a good idea that you hand it over to someone else and let them try it, because you know what you mean to happen with that tour and how it's going to be. But actually, until someone else does it, you really won't know how effective it is. But it needs to keep people's interest and not be too long. I think I'll probably leave it at that for now. Don't know whether anyone else wants to chip in.
I will add, I was in the room with Pete, and we have quite a few tours at Dawes Arboretum. And one thing that I was thinking, in thinking of tours that I've had, I really love to go to a new gardens with a curator, a director, someone who has been there and be led around and shown all the cool stuff. So that's how I think of a tour. I want to sort of have a behind the scenes look. When I first go to someplace new, it's like I don't really know where to go, what to see. But if I'm walking with someone that works there that is touring me around, they take me to what to see and tell me the interesting stories. So that's how I envision the tours. We have 4 national collections, so I have tours of those to introduce the program of national collections at the Arboretum and to highlight some of the plants. And then things like we had a summer hydrangea tour this summer that, and then we tied that on our website with a scavenger hunt. If you can find all the particular hydrangeas, just make it interesting for folks. But and one thing that I wanted to add too is the speakers from Gothenburg. I have not timed my tours. We just write these things, and I don't know if they take 2 hours or 6 or 30 minutes. I need to actually go through and see how long they are. But you can start with the coffee shop. You can have a stop at the restroom, you can look at the plants, and then you can end up at the gift shop. So you can make the 4 C's all part of the tour as well.
Thank you very much, Greg, and thanks to everyone else. I would like to ask now Åsa and Stina, you've heard many ideas. You've been in the breakout rooms yourself. How was it for you?
Oh, yeah, fantastic. Nice
Thank you.
to hear your thoughts, and really great. We had a good discussion in our group as well. We got some tips from our breakout colleagues.
Yeah, and one thing was also the name of the tour, that you should pick a good name, interesting name.
Great, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
This was the first challenge. We are ready for another break. I find the time flew this time. So I'm wondering if I'm right. Am I right? Is it time again for a break? 15 minutes. Let me check.